Hey, welcome to this week's episode of Bloop. I'm Laura.
And I'm Rebecca.
And we're going to be reviewing Fourth Wing. Oh, I'm so excited. Okay, so here at Bloop, just to kind of give you a reminder what we do, we believe readers have the right to know. And what does that mean? Because we don't want to always give spoilers, right? So readers have the right to know what they're getting into in a book before they pick it up to read it. And this is regarding its content rating, referring to language, violence, and sex. So readers can be empowered, and also we believe this helps authors as well, but readers can be empowered by whether or not that this book is a good fit for them, if it has the vibes that they're looking for beyond, genre
yeah.
and the reviews of other people. They can, look to a guidance system to be like, hey, do I care about it? It goes a little bit beyond trigger warnings,
right?
Because trigger warnings can be spoilery. So it kind of gives you, the reader, the power to decide, okay, can I handle a book? Do I want to read a book? Maybe I know of a friend who likes these things in a book, or a friend who doesn't like these things in a book, or I personally don't want to read these things, or I do want to read these things. And so then you can kind of gauge if this book would fit for you. So, without further ado, Fourth Wing.
Yes, so I'm going to read a quick synopsis really quick. I'm going to read it from my computer because that is just not okay. All right. So, synopsis. 20-year-old Violet Sorrengail was supposed to enter the scribe quadrant, living a quiet life among books and history. Now the commanding general, also known as her toughest Talon's mother, has ordered Violet to join the hundreds of cadets striving to become the elite of Navarre, dragon riders. Dragons. Okay. But when you're smaller than everyone else,
5'2",
and your body is brittle, death is only a heartbeat away, because dragons don't bond to fragile humans. They incinerate them. With fewer dragons willing to bond than cadets, most would kill Violet to better their own chances of success. The rest would kill her just for being her mother's daughter, like Xaden Ryerson, the most powerful and ruthless wing leader in the Riders Quadrant. She'll need every edge her wits can give her just to see the next sunrise. Yet with every day that passes, the war outside grows more deadly. The kingdom's protective wards are failing, and the death toll continues to rise. Even worse, Violet begins to suspect leadership is hiding a terrible secret. Friends, enemies, lovers, everyone at Basgayath War College has an agenda, because once you enter, there are only two ways to get out: graduate or die.
Okay, I will say, thankfully, I'm thankful for audiobooks because it helps us know how to pronounce things.
Yes. Yes.
I've seen some people on, when they're they have the book, so when they're speaking about it, they're like Ryerson. But it's when you hear the audiobook, you get to hear it differently. So that's just a little tidbit.
So let's get to our ratings.
Content ratings, before we go into what we gave it a star rating in terms of our enjoyment. But content rating, we give this an adult rating with a sexual content rating of 4. And here's why we gave it the adult rating. It contains explicit and coarse language, adult themes with persistent violence, profanity, and some nudity. Parents are counseled to take this rating very seriously. And then in terms of the sexual content rating, Fourth Wing contains multiple sex references, and though the actual act of sex occurs after the midway point, characters openly discuss and reference sex frequently. The sexual language used in the book is more explicit, rough, and or vulgar. That's, you say vulgar, but, again, to each their own. If you want more than that, if you want explicitly, written out, what words are used and how often or whatnot, the Common Sense Media did a good job with this book, kind of listing it out, but I don't want to do that yet because of spoilers, but I will come back and later on in the episode, and we can hash it out there.
And the author did do a good job of giving out a warning at the very beginning of this book. So there was a little blurb at the very beginning of content warning. So
Yeah,
So you
just
got
to kind of let know, because she did. I think that was really nice. Like that was I think she did well with that, because not a lot of authors will do that, because there was a misconception. A lot of people were thinking that because this was like taking place in college, that people were assuming this was like an older young adult, and I was like, no, it's not. And no, it's not. Anyways,
No.
star rating.
So of course it's a 5. I mean, are you kidding? There's dragons in this book.
5 stars. It was very enjoyable.
Very, very.
Super enjoyable. So this next, when we discuss what's going on in the next like 5 minutes, I would say, spoiler free, it's just going to be like our general overall things we liked, just, if there's any dislikes. But then we'll let you know when spoilers are coming. So don't worry about it. We'll let you know. Okay.
Do you want me to go first?
Go first.
Okay. So I happen to like the following. And I think Laura and I the first sentence in this is going to be the same for us. The fast pace. I love fast paced books. From the get-go, this book is high stakes, and at every turn, the characters' lives are in jeopardy. This has a no one is safe vibe for sure. I love this setting. Okay. Basgiath. I've got it. Basgiath. War College. Are you kidding me? Heck yes, War College. I'm all about that. Basgiath means Deathwing, by the way, in Gaelic. And I was immediately hooked from the beginning of chapter 1. It's a quote at the very beginning of the chapter. Article 1, Section 1 of the Draggers. Dragon Riders Codex. A dragon without its rider is a tragedy. A rider without their dragon is dead. Like, I was immediately hooked. This gives off, to me, it was a little Hunger Games meets Divergent meets Game of Thrones. Morally gray heroes. Characters in it that are easier to either like or not like. There was not a lot of world building. I don't really appreciate... I like fantasy, don't get me wrong, but high fantasy where there's a ton of description is not my jam. I do not like that. It takes me out of the story. If you're going to describe somebody's outfit for the next 6 pages, I just can't. So I like that, I have an imagination. I'm able to just imagine, and we're going to show you some fan art later, and I was not far off with what I imagined at all. Well, there was a strong, well-rounded female main character. Like, Violet was strong, and, I mean, not that she didn't have her issues or she didn't have, her, I don't know, flaws. Flaws is the word I'm looking for. But she wasn't indecisive, and she wasn't annoying, which I'm all about. I don't like female main characters that are, like, wishy-washy and can get annoying. I like the enemies to lovers, and, did I say there's dragons? There's dragons in this book. So yeah.
Okay. So same thing. So the pacing was done really well. I didn't feel like there was any part of the book where I was like, okay, I take that back. There was one chapter where I felt like this feels a little out of sorts, but no, that will come later. I don't want to ruin anything. So, but for the most part, pacing was good. Always like, what's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? Like, always on the edge of your seat. What I really liked about this book was, and for some people, they didn't like it for these reasons, but it was like, give me all the tropes. Like, there's a lot of tropes in this book.
Yeah.
There's, I feel like humans by nature are very, like, we like consistency, right? We like things that feel familiar. And this felt very familiar for this genre, but in a very refreshing, like, way, like, high stakes. Like, it just, I can't, even though it had all the familiar, like, very formulaic approach to this genre, it was still fun. Mm-hmm. It was still very enjoyable, easy to read. I love how Rebecca Yarros gave us just enough of each character in this book to start getting us to care for them, and then she just rips your heart out.
Yeah.
So, yes, I agree. The dragons were really cool, but her magic system that she created with it, we're just starting to, like, get to see in this book.
And it wasn't hard to pick up either.
No, right. And this is a 5-book series, so yes. as an author myself, something that I appreciate is you can only include so much, and there's a lot of characters. So I think she did a really good job of introducing all these characters and introducing her magic system, and we're going to be learning so much more in the next coming book. So I think she did a really good job introducing these things. And what else was I going to say? So yes, was it predictable for the most part? Yes. However, she was like, you think you know, but let me sprinkle a little seasoning over here just to like change it up a little bit and add a little bit of a twist. So I did like that it was like she brings you along on the journey and like, oh, I know where this is going. And it's like, it's predictable. And it's like, hold the phone.
Right.
I'm going to add a little spice or a little fire to it, okay? And I did appreciate as somebody who also has chronic illness. Sorry, Ron. See where my mic is? I keep hitting him, so sorry. I did appreciate as somebody who has chronic illness myself that its own voices rep. So, she herself struggled with chronic illness, I believe, and I believe one of her children. If I'm wrong, please comment below and correct me. But Ehlers-Danlos syndrome is pretty much what the main character struggles with, where she can get injured way more easily than the average person. And so we see that a lot. So that's what makes it more difficult for the main character, because you're in an environment that would tax a normal person, let alone somebody who is prone to major injury, which puts her in an immediate disadvantage.
For sure.
So I liked that it was included in this. It was supposed to be a character flaw, but no spoilers. Anyways, so
another thing I will say though too, like Laura and I are both audiobook listeners, so as I'm listening to this audiobook, I immediately gravitate towards characters and, relationships and different things like that. The whole time, Rebecca Yarros is sprinkling rules in there about the magic system or about, the war college, so you're listening to all these different things. And I was missing things because I was gravitating towards the relationships. So by the time I got to the end, I was like, what? I had forgotten like so many things that I should have grabbed onto, little nuggets in the book that I should have grabbed onto and remembered for later. So at the end of this book, I immediately rewound it and started listening to it again. And yes, it's that good that you're going to want to re-listen, run out to Book Talk, and get all the info because you just don't want it to be over. So I'm sorry. That's just a little extra. That was for free. So
okay. Was there anything that you didn't like?
No, I loved everything. Every little thing. I loved everything.
Okay. I do have a little bit of a critique, I will say. So, I still gave this 5 stars because it is super enjoyable. So this doesn't detract from my star rating. Because you know me, what kind of reader I am, right? Okay. Does there have to be so much death though? Okay, so it is Death College, Death Wing. Okay, I get it, right? And I get that there has to be high stakes.
Yes.
So I'm not going to be specific in terms of spoilers. So if you feel like this is spoilery, you can, fast forward or move on. Well, from here on out, it'll probably be spoilery. So, again, spoiler warning for you guys. So, I get that the author created a very high stakes environment. We are in a high stakes environment. But off the bat, we're on a parapet.
That parapet was fantastic.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
I would have died there for sure.
I just don't understand. I don't understand a society that wouldn't try to preserve human life in a situation where it is not necessary.
Well, I mean, in chapter 2, I'm glad you mentioned that, because in chapter 2, the very beginning, she gives out these little snippets, and she says, a major offendra's guide to the writer's quadrant. She says, there is a misconception that it is kill or be killed in the writer's quadrant. Writers on the whole aren't out to assassinate other cadets unless there is a shortage of dragons that year or a cadet is a liability to their wing. Then things may get interesting. So on the whole, they're not out to assassinate.
But I'm saying,
people.
The college itself, like you're an institution, right? And if they're not suitable for being a writer, a dragon rider, there's got to be another place for them in society that you could use.
Oh, you're saying like
I'm saying
kick them out or something.
I'm saying if you're walking across the parapet, you can't have a net.
Right.
Like, to me, it's high stakes because you're out. Your dream of riding a dragon is gone. You're out. Like, you'd fall off that parapet, you get caught in the net. Like, bye. There is no second chance. And I get, like, it's supposed to be, it would ruin the whole high stakes vibe, but for me, I couldn't. I know I'm supposed to suspend reality because it's fantasy, but I'm like, when you read the rest of the book, you'll understand there's enough high stakes going on within the War College and then the dragons themselves and everything else with the political espionage and, like, everything else that's going on. I couldn't understand why professors and stuff would not do more to protect the sanctity of human life at that point. I couldn't. That was something I couldn't. I just couldn't get past that. I mean, especially if they all have signets and, like, all these other powers. Like, you're telling me somebody couldn't whip up some wind and, like, carry them down and be like, you're out, buddy. Thanks for trying. Your dream's over.
Right.
Like, sucks for you.
Just pretend you broke your back and you gotta go.
No,
Yeah.
but I mean, nothing. Like, that's to me is high stakes.
Yeah, for sure.
You train, because most of these cadets going in there trained a majority of their life to be there. Violet's
Right.
the only one who got 6 months. Was
Yeah.
like, by the way, you're going.
Yeah.
She's like, what? My whole life I'm training to be a scribe, and now
Now I've got to go
now I
into
have
the
6
deadliest
months.
quadrant, and
I have 6 months when these people have been training their whole
Not
life.
to mention, my body is really at a disadvantage because I can
Right.
get hurt at.
This is what I'm saying. So that was a little bit hard for me, and then also, like, cadets, part of squads and stuff, unnecessarily ruthless, like just offing people in scenarios where they were told you can't do that. Nobody steps in before death happens. No consequence for the offender.
Sometimes. There was, depending on who catches who, there was some.
Jack was around for a long time.
Right.
And
Jack was around for a long time.
Jack was around for a long time, and he should have been kicked out a long time ago.
I think Violet should have offed him, like, first chance.
But I'm just saying, like, for example, he threw off how many people off the parapet?
I thought he only threw off one.
Well, okay, one.
And then he broke this other kid's neck in training.
Snapped in kids'
sparring.
training when they were told specifically, this is not a high-stakes sparring match.
Right.
This is just... And they knew what he was doing.
Right.
But he was continuously offing people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why isn't he out? Anyways, the dragons themselves will determine who is up to snuff. Like,
right.
The professors, the students, they don't need to be the ones.
Right. The dragons, in this book, the dragons have the knowledge, and what they decide is paramount to anything else that goes on. Like, they are, whatever they say, whatever they want goes. And they do talk to their writers. They talk to...
Right. So the other thing I will say is the two scenes with Xaden and Violet. What?
Sexy times.
The smut scenes. To me, they were a little over the top. Because compared to the rest of the pacing in the story, it's so high stakes, action nonstop. Like, we're getting these scenes. The length of the other scenes compared to the length of the smut scenes just felt disproportionate. To me, it felt like something that was more so encouraged by the trad publishing world versus authenticity of the story.
I didn't mind them at all because, like, there was so much slow burn going on between Violet.
I didn't say the intensity of it or that it was leading there. To me, it was because also in fantasy, normally you would have, like, a little bit more flowery language. And it was a really long scene, like really long. So to me, it was a little bit over the top for a story that's primarily action and fantasy and everything else. It just seemed very
It was a little bit long, but it didn't pull me out of the story at all. So
I wouldn't say it pulled me out. It was just, to me, it was over the top.
And it wasn't, like, sometimes sex scenes to me can get really just nauseating, and so I ended up having to fast forward through a lot. I didn't have to with this, so it wasn't too over the top for me. Like, I was fine.
Yeah, well, okay. Well, this is where so for me, I definitely prefer authenticity, and I feel like it could have had the same effect had it even, gone to closed door or, give us a little bit.
Yeah, if it had gone to closed door or if it had been less or whatever, it wouldn't have killed me. Like, it was fine. Like,
yeah.
It would have been fine.
I just feel like because there's so much more of the focus of the story was elsewhere. I don't know. So it just, yeah. Anyways, so that's where I was at. Okay, let's talk about something I appreciated that Rebecca Yarros did in terms of like the world building, like you were talking about, as somebody who doesn't typically read higher fantasy or fantasy. When it came to language and it came to world building, I came across interviews with her where she was saying, again, this is a lot of people who gave her lower reviews didn't really appreciate that. At least what I found was this was like a critique of theirs. Actually, I really liked it.
I did too.
Her purpose for using like everyday vernacular,
yes,
and to not go crazy into world building was this is meant to be like an introduction into fantasy,
right,
for readers. So I actually really appreciated that because some people like made fun of it. They're like, "Oh, you have like these names like Zaid and Ryerson and." Violet Sorengale and like these other like, Imogen and these names, and then you have Jack.
Yeah.
And I was just like, well, it is what it is. But
I saw one book talker that was like, I didn't like the language because who talks like that? And I'm thinking,
yeah, who talks like that in this?
Who doesn't talk like that? I mean, it was everyday vernacular. I mean, where is she from? Like,
because they might be used to more. They wanted it to feel more fantastical.
They wanted their own language or their own.
They wanted it to feel more fantastical. But Rebecca Yarros purposely did it to.
I liked it.
Introduce more readers into the story because sometimes it can get difficult. Well, we're audiobook listeners, so even if we were listening to it, we're not stumbling over how to pronounce this, how to like, what does this all mean? The narrators have already done that job to figure out how to pronounce it, and then we get to just...
And I found humor in it, like in her keeping it with today's vernacular. There was some humorous moments. There was a good balance in the banter between humor and, hard stuff.
I will say that you and I had kind of discussed this recently. I did say I would have liked for it to have a lot less F-bombs. I feel like I'm not completely against, like...
A well-placed...
A well-placed cuss word.
Yeah.
Like, it gives it that punch and kick that it needs. And like you mentioned, like when she like speaks to herself, like...
F him! Yeah, and I was like, yes,
and I was like,
him.
that to me would hold so much more punch if...
It wasn't like everywhere.
It wasn't like 160 F-bombs throughout. Like, so I feel like if we like held it back a little bit, like to me it would... Otherwise, it's just like another word. And it
loses, words have meaning and it loses its meaning if it's used in excess.
Yeah. And also it's just kind of, for me, it's just kind of great. I don't know. It just like grates on me a little bit. So that was like something I was like, I just wish it wasn't quite so much.
Right.
But also I've never been in a war college and
right.
I've never been there. So maybe that would like,
if you look at like boot camp, military life, which I am very familiar with. I've never been in the military before, but I have that in my background. My son's in the military, my dad, my ex-husband, everybody. Just they talk about a sailor's mouth. They're just F-bombing every other word anyway.
So maybe it was done on purpose,
appropriate.
But like, as a reader who like reads fantasy and all that, it's just
they use the F word like a comma.
Yeah, but like when you're used to reading this genre, it's not something you see all the time. And I still subscribe to I'd rather have a well-placed
me too, for sure. I agree with that.
Not. I did like with the plot, and I said this earlier, that like she would sprinkle a twist, even though it was like predictable. But she does a really good job that she's leading you on the journey. So she's not, like, it's not so predictable where you're like, ugh, now I'm bored because I already figured it out. And it's like, this is so dumbed down for the reader.
Right.
No. You were on an adventure the whole time.
Mm-hmm. The whole time.
So it was like, You're discovering it with her, even though you kind of already figured it out. I was never bored.
Oh no, I was never bored. Not even once. I thought she was going to put a love triangle in there. And that was really going to irritate me. I was feeling
that's my least favorite. That's my least favorite trope, guys. It is so stressing to me.
It's not stressing to me. It's just,
love triangles aren't
like,
stressing to you?
No.
Oh, they stress me out because you can't please. Like, I can't please everybody. Somebody's getting hurt.
So just like rip the Band-Aid off and choose. I'm just like, come on. But in this scenario,
you would never in real life. You don't have any sympathy for the person.
Depends. Okay, let's talk about this particular supposed triangle. Dane. I can't with Dane.
Well, not in this book, but the trope itself.
The trope itself.
A good love triangle.
Okay, it depends. Like, I've read love triangles before. Like, I've read another book where, I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head right now because I read so much. But, yes, if it's like, can't choose, they're both great.
Yeah.
That's stressful.
Yeah. Stresses me out. And again, I'm not trying to read to be stressed. I'm trying to read to, like, de-stress.
Right. Yeah, it depends. But if there's, like, factors...
Okay, if you agree, love triangle is one of the worst tropes, right?
It can be bad.
If you agree with Laura, just comment below. Just let me know. Let me know.
No, I agree with you. It's just, it depends on the characters. It depends.
A lot of times they're just not even done well either. That's not true. They're done well. I just don't like how it's done.
Like the one book I read where the guy was supposed to be dead.
Yes, I know.
And he comes back and he's alive.
That was like...
That was stressful.
Jane the Virgin.
Yeah.
The show. That's too hard.
Okay, but again,
I can't.
Let's go back to Dane, because if you guys like Dane, like, great. But I did not like Dane from Boo, okay?
Do you have anything to add? Because we need to start discussing theories.
Add about what?
Do you have anything else to add? Should we do fan art before we just start discussing theories?
Wait, hold on. Oh, no. Yeah, because that was what I was going to add, was about the love triangle, and it would have annoyed me, and I'm glad she didn't do it. No. Everything else, we can go into theories now.
I can't tell you. So I purposely held off reading this book because I can't wait. I don't know how some of y'all wait 6+ months for the next book. I mean, I don't know how we're going to read book 2 and wait a whole nother year for book 3.
The book 2 comes out in November, and then...
November 7th.
When are we going to get book 3?
I don't know, and it's slated to be a 5-book series at this point. So I was very thankful I held off because I can't... I mean, you guys I wanted to hold off even longer, but... Anyways, I'm really excited we don't have super long to wait. But it also was awesome because I got to look at some really awesome fan art. And so we're going to pull this up for you guys here in a minute to go through some of it. We picked out a couple quotes that we really loved. And every piece of art that we show up here, we're going to make sure that we tag the creator because it's going to be kind of hard to see in the images. So we're making sure we tag the creator below. So don't worry.
All right. Well, sorry. I got to make it big.
We're going to make it big. We're going to pop it up here. But, so you're going to be putting it up?
Yeah, you can put it up now.
Our producer is putting it up for us on the screen.
Yep, it's on my computer, but he's got to
He's got to transfer the screen over.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, so this is Violet crossing the parapet in the beginning, which was great because I didn't exactly know what the parapet looked like. I just assumed it was like
And in my head, when I first read it, the first time I read it, I did not picture it like this. I kind of pictured it a little bit bigger, but then when I went back and read it, it's only 18 inches across, guys. 18 inches. And then you got, cavernous space on either side, and,
It's supposed to resemble a dragon's
spine, right?
Spine, right?
Yes, or tail or whatever. They've got to, climb up it really fast at times, so each thing is supposed to train them a little bit better on how to stay on their dragon or whatever, so... Yeah. And this particular day, it was raining and windy and...
Stormy.
See
what I'm saying? That they, preserve human life. You can put a freaking net under it. Or have these other skilled, riders with their signets, ready to, rescue somebody.
Well, what happens when they get on the dragon? They fall off. They're going to...
But that's a risk you're getting into when you go there. But something as simple as this for entry, It seems
Well,
like
true.
it's an unnecessary loss of life.
Yes.
Anyways, that's my opinion. That's where I'm at. I'm sticking
Rebecca
to it.
Yarros, why didn't you think of that? Come on.
Because it wouldn't be high stakes and that wouldn't be a good intro to the book. I get it. I understand. But still. All right. Next one.
Oh, next one. Oh. Okay, first of all, guys, this is not a Disney dragon, okay?
This is not How to Train Your Dragon
It's
at all.
not.
This
It's
is
not cute little squishy dragons that you see on a Disney movie. This is
That's
Ternanok.
Tern.
His name means thunder. And this is
Sagail.
Sagail, which is Xaden's dragon. And these guys are mated pairs.
These dragons are mated pairs. Now, this is going to be important when we discuss theory in a second. Should we just discuss it right now?
Well, let's just do it. Let's
Okay.
just let the creativity flow.
I think, and we don't know if this happens in this world, but I think that the mating, if your dragons are mated, like they're a bonded pair, and they're the strongest bonded pair in centuries,
Right.
I think naturally the riders are bonded.
Well, I think so. I mean, they kept alluding to the fact in the book that it doesn't have to be that way, but but let me just tell you, when these two dragons are going at it, even when they're throwing up blocks to try to block out what's happening to them, because of course you feel everything your dragon's going through and vice versa, and they're talking to you and whatnot, and they're still like hot for each other, even
but just listen, because this couple, Xaden and Violet, can do things others can't.
Oh yeah, for sure.
They can speak in each other's mind, right?
Well, I think they all can do that, because Kath
No,
talks
you
to...
can speak to your dragon.
Yes.
But
oh yes,
the
right,
couple
right.
themselves
The couples,
can
they can speak to each other. Yes.
And they themselves also have a harder time being away from each other.
And they can't.
So my theory is, does bonding happen like how we see a lot in like fae fantasy, where like their mates, they're bonded pairs. I feel like there's that happening with Xaden and Violet.
And I think even before she even bonded to Tyrion, I mean, they were both, like, he even said in the book that he saw her and was like, bing.
And it was...
And they're supposed to
their bond just solidified.
And they are supposed to be enemies.
Enemies.
Like, because General Sorrengail supposedly killed his father, Xaden's father. So he's already on the out. Everybody's warning Violet that this guy is going to kill her if he gets the chance. And so as soon as she sees him, she's like, hey.
But he always knows where she is every second
I think
of the
that
day.
he can. I think that it's just.
And he has, it's just like a quote, like, there's nowhere you can go that I won't find you. Yeah, it's like, something like that. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, we know what's going on. Like, this is what I'm saying, that they are mated. But that also could have to do something where he's also been working with Brennan, right? So it to me, it could do with also the fact that maybe he already, like, knew that she wasn't an enemy right away, and he was looking out for her because Brennan would have told him, like, she's fragile. He would have learned a lot about her through Brennan.
Another thing I really appreciated about Xaden, though, and the difference between Dane and Xaden was Dane was not encouraging. Granted, she's got, like, he never tried to, like, teach her how to survive in the circumstances she was in. He could just always told her what she couldn't do and what she shouldn't be doing. But Xaden, on the other hand, he, not necessarily was he encouraging either, but he took time to help her.
He was like, here's what the crappy situation is, and you're going to have to suck it up and find a way through it.
But he wanted her to help herself.
Yeah.
Like, and he kind of kept putting her in situations, like he got her somebody that could really train her. He was taking time with her. Dane just, to me, no, sorry. I mean, but I appreciated Xaden really wanted her
I do have some sympathy for Dane, right? So for me, here's my theory with Dane, okay? Dane is being kept alive by his father, Colonel Atos.
Yes. Because
Dane's signet power is borderline, like, what's the word? Like, is borderline illegal. Like,
yeah, there's...
like, they offed a kid in front of everybody because he could read minds.
He could read minds.
So it's borderline
And
like...
not everybody knows what Dane's signet power is.
Dane has kept it under wraps, and I think his dad is manipulating him. And obviously Dane is a big rule follower, right? He wants to do the right thing. And he thinks, and there's a lot of people, I'm sure we know these people in our own lives, right? The people who think they're doing the right thing because they are following the law to a T.
With what they know.
With what they know, right? And so it's like, one of the quotes I really liked was, the right way isn't the only way, right? And did you ever stop to think that sometimes you can start out on the right side of a war and end up on the wrong one? So I think in Dane's case, he's being manipulated by the powers that be, especially by his own father, okay? And that he truly loves Violet. And I think in the beginning, he was really trying to save her. Because he does know her history of like, she wasn't trained for this long. I think he was genuinely
he was scared for her.
I think he was genuinely fearful and scared for her because he does love her. So did he go about it the right way? No. But I think he was acting out of love and fear.
Right.
Which when people are fearful, which we've seen people do really stupid things out of fear, and they act completely wrong, I think he made some poor choices. However, I can sympathize that he did it out of love. But then I think that started morphing when he started getting jealous, because I think it's kind of hard to deny the tension.
So Dane can see recent memories in people's heads. Not everybody knows that he's got this power.
Correct.
But he can only activate this if he's touching the person.
Right.
And he's been touching Violet quite a lot throughout the whole book. I think one book talker even tallied up how many times. So the more and more he's reading Violet's thoughts, the more and more.
Well, when she goes on the parapet, somebody pointed out too, I saw on Book Talk, on the parapet, which I didn't catch this part, when she goes to get Xaden on the parapet that one night, Dane can see the parapet from his window.
Oh.
So I didn't know that. But anyway, so I think it kind of morphed into like a jealousy and like an anger a little bit from that. But anyways, so Dane, to me, my theory for Dane is that he will have a big character arc where he's going to have to learn some hard truths and like really deep down. Because he was asked, Xaden did this on purpose. Xaden, he's not little, but he knows what he's doing. He's just driving that wedge in there, right? So he said, would you have like basically stepped in? Would you have like basically broken a rule to save Violet? And Dane was like, no. Because I think in that moment, Dane was like, no, I wouldn't break a rule, because that's who Dane thinks is. But I think if Dane was faced in the threshing, watching 3 boys try to kill a dragon, which is a completely against the rule.
Right.
And also see the love of his life 3 against 1.
And Lily,
and she's trying to stand up for a rule, which is you don't never kill a dragon. I think he would have stepped in. I don't think he would have had as much control as Xaden. I don't think he would have had the foresight to manipulate the situation how Xaden did it. I think he would have acted on impulse. I think he would have stepped in.
Not only that, but then Xaden said, yeah, well, I would have. Because he would have stepped in to help her.
Xaden did step in.
Yeah.
He did step in. He's like, well, I can narrate. So Xaden did step in, and I think Dane in his own way would have stepped in too. But he could say all he wants. No, I follow the rules. I'm like the good little chap.
Yeah, as we all
know, I'm the good little soldier who does what I
say, and what happens to you are
that's
two
what
different
I
things.
That's what I think. So I think there is some redemption for Dane, even though at the end when he's like, I'll miss you. I was like, what? Dane? Like, what are you, like...
Yeah, I didn't catch that at first until I found out the rest of it.
Oh.
And I was like,
that nearly... Then I wanted to lose all sympathy for him. But I still think my theory for Dane is he will have a big character arc. We're going to see him go against his father, but I think in doing so, he's going to lose his life. I think he's going to die in book 3 or 4. And that when he said, I'll miss you, I don't think he knew about the wyvern and venom.
Oh no, I definitely know that Dane does not have all the truth. Like
he doesn't have all the truth.
Just like Violet and all of Navarre, they don't have the truth.
Right.
They only know what they've been taught.
So I think he thinks he's doing what is best for his country, but it's going to come full circle. He's going to like be on board, and when he does stand up to the regime, it will cost him his life, but he will save Violet's in doing so. He will do what he said he wasn't going to do, and he will step in to break a rule to save his life.
I'm just going to put the next slide on because I'm tired of looking at that one.
He is pretty darn cute.
I believe, this is Violet's mom up here, I believe that Lilith Sorrengail, I think you agree with me, Laura. Well, I agree with you that she's a double agent. Yes. There's so much about, like, I think that she knew, like, when she was pregnant with Violet, she got hit with what was this? Not the wyvern, but the venom blade, and she ended up getting really sick when she was pregnant with Violet, and Violet was born with, the silver hair and the very light skin and the light pigment in her eyes, and I don't know why this fan art doesn't show that, but it does show the silver
I picture her a lot more pale and a little bit more frail looking.
But I think she knows that Violet's going to be special, and she's going to have special abilities.
Yeah, I think she knew that Violet was going to succeed at Basgiath.
And I think she knows that Finn's dad, Finn Ryerson, did not kill her husband. I think she knows who really killed him. And I think it was General Atos.
Atos. Yeah.
Atos, sorry.
I think she knew Violet would survive. And I think she knows that Violet had to go to Basgiath in order to help them win the war, because she knew Violet trained under her husband. She knew she was a scribe. She knew what her husband about that wyvern and venom fairy tale folklore. That she knew Violet
they yanked out of the archives.
Yeah, but she knew Violet would figure it out. And I think she's a double agent. I think that she knows she's coming across as like this mean, like tough, rough and tough.
She has to.
She has to for like her own safety, but her children's safety.
Right.
And I think I just don't know if she knows if Brennan's alive or not, because I don't think Brennan knows that his mom's a double agent.
Yeah, I don't know. We don't know that. I mean, that was the very last thing that we were given was Brennan's alive, right?
Yeah.
And Brennan is Violet's brother.
So that's the only thing. But I think she's actually good. She's obviously made some poor choices, but she's had tough choices to make.
I hope she's good.
I think she is. But I really do like that theory, though, that Violet has somehow been affected by the wyvern venom, and that will come into play.
Yes.
Because she's right now, I think they made it seem like she's like the strongest weapon against them.
Right.
But her and Xaden together are.
Right. And she learned some things because they were fighting the wyvern and the venom at the outpost, and she was hit with a blade by the venom, and her blood turned black and all that, and she was like on the verge of death. So I think that also, and she learned some things from the person that she was fighting that day. Like, she was like, oh my gosh, she's in war college too, just like me. She's a student. And she was kind of teaching her, like, she's like, you have the power to open up the sky, and you don't know how to do it. And so she's like, I do. So now I think she's like,
yeah, right.
She's like, let me figure this out. Like, I have more power than I think I do.
Right.
So I think that's going to come into play. And let's talk about Mira, the sister.
Mira's going to be let in on the secret.
Mm-hmm. Oh, she has to be. Like, Brennan's alive. I don't think that Mira would believe them and be on their side if she didn't see Brennan.
Well, no, but Mira's going to die. That's my theory. That's my guess. Mira's dead.
For somebody that doesn't like death, you sure want to predict it.
Well, I can't trust Rebecca Yarros. I can't trust her. I finished this book, almost 2 weeks ago now? I'm not over Liam. Let's move it on.
Well, here's one picture of Liam. And Imogen. I didn't like her at first, but I do now.
No, but once Xaden made her start working with
Imogen's the
with
one
Violet, it was like a whole
Violet.
different situation. I do like Garrick and Riddick. I like Riddick, and they're all good.
Liam was close to our hearts, you guys. If you've read this book, then you know our hearts were.
Why you gotta take out the one blonde?
Still beating
the one blonde
when it was ripped out of our bodies, and it was not nice. Oh, I didn't mean to go to this one. I wanted to go to Liam first, but Here's one of our favorite quotes. I don't deserve you, but I'm going to keep you all the same.
Well, that's because Xaden was keeping secrets, and we know that. And there was a TikToker who posted something from I guess Rebecca Yarros did a live, or she did some sort of interview where they were saying that there can't be more Xaden POVs in the next book until he quits keeping secrets. I was like, what?
But see, I like most of the
More
quotes,
secrets?
most of the quotes that I wrote down that I love are all Xaden quotes. Like
I know. She's like, how about this? How about we add this quote or this quote for like other characters? I'm like, you mean that's from Xaden, and that's from Xaden. I'm like, you must.
Xaden.
You must have petted her. I'm like, you must really love Xaden.
I do.
Okay, go to our Liam.
Oh, this is another one. Here, I'm just gonna go.
We'll go back. We'll go back.
I'll go back. It's been my honor. Okay, so Xaden assigned Liam to Violet to protect her because people were coming for her because she was General.
I mean, Xaden has to be really confident.
Daughter, but, right? Liam is like the biggest cadet that there is, and he's strong
and the most skilled.
And he was also Xaden's foster brother.
I don't get that whole fostering thing.
Because all the parents died.
Right, but would it, like, the person who chooses to foster a rebel child, like, do they lose, like, some standing in society?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
Something I was thinking about.
More
They're
probably,
like, oh, he's a great man, and I'm like,
that they respected the
are
guy,
they
whoever
part?
he was.
But do those people who foster them, like, do they know about the whole ruse of the whole situation?
I don't know. I'm sure we will hear from the foster parents later. I hope so.
I hope so. Anyways, look how cute he is, and he was the only blonde. There
is a moment where Violet does save his life and uses her gifting, because of course Violet has 2 dragons, and Dora
because of Jack, and then which saving him, right, was what spurred her to finally take a life.
Right, and then Dora, the little dragon,
and Darna.
Andarna, sorry. Why did I want to call her Andorra? I don't know. Andarna. The little dragon gives Violet the ability, which no one knows about, to stop time.
I knew at that moment, I'm like, that's a tease. He's dead. Like, right. He's going to be dead.
So, and then later on, you think that he's safe. No. Later on.
We were lied to.
And the way he dies is the dragon gets hit. So, and again, going back to the rules that you forget about.
I'm mad at that rule. Like, why? Why is it that the dragon could live without the rider, but the rider can't live without the dragon?
A dragon without its rider is a tragedy. A rider without its dragon is dead. So,
but I don't get. I would like to know why.
I don't know. Day, poor Day, gets hit by the wyvern.
I know, but he died saving Violet.
And he died saving Violet, and then Liam dies.
But you want to know in that whole scene, what I really liked was when Sagail whipped her head. Like, Sagail came out of nowhere and, like, ripped apart was it a wyvern?
Oh, yeah, that was great.
And whipped her head around and was like...
Yeah, she's like...
I will incinerate you if anything happens to my Tarn.
Right, because Violet took her eyes off the prize.
Yeah.
And was paying more attention to what was happening with Xaden, and ended up... Taryn almost got his butt handed
She's like,
to him.
I'm taking care of Xaden.
She looked at Violet and said to Violet in her head and was like, it was like, can you please pay attention? What did she say? She was like... basically,
I'm taking care of mine, you take care of
I'm watching mine, you watch yours. Like,
like, you take care of my Tarn.
Because I will kill you.
Yeah, I will kill you twice. If anything happens to my Tarn. But back to Liam. So he was doing some crazies. He was like running down Day's back and like doing these flips. And then it was like, so that was the hardest part because he was physically unharmed.
And Violet did save him from falling because he fell off Day. And she grabbed him, her and Taryn grabbed him.
But he was physically unharmed.
No, he was physically unharmed, for sure. He was fine.
And he just died.
Yeah, it was so bad. I cried.
I was like, is there literally nothing? I don't get this rule. I'm really upset about this rule.
Yeah.
But they said nature likes balance, and it's the opposite for like the wyvern and the venin. So like if the rider dies, if the venin dies, then the dragon dies. And well, the wyvern and
Yeah,
reverse.
and the venom will, if whoever, because they're creating their own dragons and they're only 2 legs, and that's a whole other thing. But yeah, if you've created one of them, then and you die, then all of the wyvern you've created dies too. So anyway,
Anyways, I'm not over it.
no, this is bad.
It's been my honor.
Because she says, "Thanks for being my friend. Thank you for protecting me."
And now he doesn't even get to see his sister.
Yep. And she does say, "Please protect my." He does say, "Please protect my sister" when she go, because next year she'll be a cadet. So.
It's ridiculously
Yeah,
sad. No, go back. Okay.
This one.
So Violet. Okay.
And Darna.
I have some theories with Violet for this next book. Okay. But what I really liked about Violet, right, is there was a quote. It was like, "Looks like your arm is like out," or something like that. And she was just like, I'm used to like living with pain. What about, like, I'm not so sure about you. Or
I live with pain every single day.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And it was like so true. Because people who deal with chronic illness, we're so used to just pushing through it that we're just like, it's just a part of life that, like, so that was what was supposed to be, and I said this in the beginning, what was supposed to be her character flaw or her weakness was really her strength.
Right.
Because she was used to pain. She was used to dealing with so much that she knew how to push through it. And so this quote, I really loved it. But I will not run. I wouldn't be standing here if I'd quit every time something seemed impossible to overcome. I will not die today.
Yeah, she said that over and over to herself.
I will not die today. I will not die today. I think she's going to have to return to Basgiath along with the other squad members. That was all the rebel children. Is it what they called rebel children? Or betrayer children?
Well, the great betrayer was
right.
Fen. Ryerson, Zayden's dad, but they were rebel relics, is what they had on their
relics. Yeah, but remember, it was like it happened to all be those people who were at that location.
Right.
So obviously Zayden can't go back, but Imogen's signet power is wiping memory.
Right.
So I think she's gonna wipe everybody's memory. Right, because you can't have Dane touching them to figure it out.
Or at least Violet's.
Well, then they're going to all go to Basgiath, where Violet's going to be looking for Liam's sister. She's going to be brought into, like, their little squad. But
she's going to have to, because can you imagine going up against Dane knowing what you know now?
No.
Like, it would be written all over my face. Like,
no,
F
she can't.
you, bro.
Right.
Like, I would come for you.
But I don't know if they wipe her memories. She's going to have something written down, but you can't. So it's going to cause issues, right? I don't know how
Rebecca Yarros is going to handle this one.
I don't know how she's going to handle it, but somehow
memories will be forgotten.
Somehow memories will be wiped so that Dane can't read them. But she also can't be apart from Zayden for more than 3 days.
Right.
Well, Zayden's going to be back with Brennan, like hiding out, like secretive. So now
but why couldn't Zayden go? Why? Why not? Nobody knows they had this little outpost fight.
This is true. Well, Zayden was graduating anyways.
Right.
Zayden was going to be, or is it 4 years? Are they in there for 3 or 4 years?
He was graduating 3 years.
So he's going to be out, like sent on missions. And they're going to put him in the most crappy, dangerous situations. So that's another theory. Maybe she's going to have to go fight while in training.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So.
And Mira's going to be pissed because her sister's being put in these situations too soon. So she's going to be pissed at it's going to be crazy.
It's going to be, but I think that knowing that she's got these 2 dragons, I think that Mira's super, super proud of her.
But how are they going to hide back to Andarna? How are they going to hide that she's all grown up now?
Maybe they don't want to hide it.
Yeah, but they're going to know.
And we don't know because when there's a little feather-tailed baby dragon, they lose that gift, and she gets another one.
But nobody is supposed to know that she had a gift.
My prediction that her new gift, that Violet's new gift will be that she can double everybody's signet power around her. That's my prediction. I think that she will be able to enhance
because of the balance,
other people's powers.
Because they could take.
She's always trying to help, right? That's always her. She's like, She's always trying to help, and she's merciful, and she's all that stuff. I think that she's
You mean
going to...
Andarna is?
No, I mean Violet. Violet's got that characteristic too, but
Yeah.
I think that her power, her new power will be, and Darna's power will be to double, because her name too, and Darna's name, I forget, I should have wrote it down. It's like double something. It's like, forget what her name is.
Well, it would
her
make
name
sense
means.
because of the balance of power, because don't the wyverns take it? Or the venom?
What?
Don't they take
They
your
take
power
Well, they take...
from the earth and around them? They
that's
take it.
That's what's
so
making the wards fail, for sure.
Yeah. So wouldn't. Yeah. So that would make
But
sense
I'm
if
thinking,
she
like,
gives.
If you have the power to bend metal, for instance, I think that it'll make it stronger. Like if you have the power, like Liam could see far away, I think that he would be able to see doubly far away, or something like that. Like that's my prediction. I just think that she'll be able to enhance the power. So,
well, do you think she's going back to Basgiath, or do you think she's going to just be fighting? I think she's going back to the college.
oh, she has to. She has to, because everything has to look like nothing happened. Nothing to see here. We didn't just fight this crazy like folklore group over here.
Yeah, we don't know about
that you
these
guys don't even
wyverns.
know about. You guys don't even know wyverns and what's venom exists, right?
Yeah.
So we got to pretend that none of that happened. So, and also, you guys think the griffins are bad, but we've been giving them weapons this whole time.
Has Zayden been making the weapons, or does he just...
I think he knows somebody that's making them, and I think that Imogen has been helping him smuggle because of her gift, because she can wipe memories.
Okay. Well, we're really interested to hear what your theories are.
I have one more.
Oh, gosh.
I have one more theory.
Okay. Well, while you're looking at your theory, I want to hear your theories too below. Do you think we're totally off the mark? Do you have other ones we haven't thought of? Comment below, but we're going to share one more.
This is where I was saying about Brennan. Okay, Brennan, we find out he's alive at the very end of the book. And he is a mender.
Which is different than a healer. We just talked about this.
I believe somewhere, somehow in all of this, it's going to come out that he mends Navarre. Like he mends the whole entire country. Because of Andarna, it's going to double his mending ability, and he's going to be able to mend the whole situation. It's my prediction. Maybe not in book 2.
What do you mean? Oh.
Because it's all like messed up, and then there's the wyvern, and then there's all these things, and people don't know the truth, and there's all this business going on.
I thought you were going to come out and say like that Day's alive. And so therefore Liam's alive.
I don't think we can re-alive people. It would be great. I mean, maybe that happens. I don't know. I would love for Liam to come back to life. But he's kind of a little decaying right now, I think.
How are they going to explain that when they go back to Basgiath? That Liam and Day are dead?
I don't know. Well, they sent this whole... their whole little squad.
They were supposed to
out
be
to die.
Well, they were supposed to be in like final war games. Like it was supposed to be like a college.
They can just say they were attacked by rogue griffins that were at the outpost when they went there. There was a griffin. They can blame it on the griffins and say, yeah, unfortunately, Day got hit and Liam died. I mean, they can just make that up.
Oh my gosh.
Everybody thinks they're going to die anyway. Like, they were sent to die.
Yes.
They were all sent to die.
Yes.
Because the last thing they were said is, your war game is to survive. Like, survive.
Yes. Okay, but my thing is, how long was she out for? Like, how long have they been missing for at this point?
I don't know. The whole thing was supposed to be 5 days, but I don't know how long they've been missing at this point.
Oh my God. I'm going to have to re-listen to this before I read book 2. Anyways, is it called Iron Flame, the second book? Right?
Yeah.
Iron Flame. Okay. Anyways, comment below if you have any other theories that we missed. Or
we know this episode went long, guys. I'm sorry.
So we're really interested to hear what your thoughts are. Like, we're like stressing out over here. I can't handle losing any more people, but we know like she's just going to keep killing people and more people will be introduced.
No one's safe.
No one's going to safe because she'll introduce more people and they'll die too and everyone's dead. That's how I feel. Anyway, so we hope you enjoyed this episode And if you're looking forward to reading book 2 just like we are, we're reading it right away. I'm
Yeah,
not
for
waiting.
sure.
So
we're not waiting on anybody.
let us know if you'll be reading it too when the book, if you've done your pre-order, or if you're just gonna or if you're holding out, if you're gonna wait. Have you not started? Well, hopefully you haven't listened then if you haven't started any of the book, because we just gave it all away for you. But yeah, I just can't wait for it. So thanks for tuning in. Check us out on our website, blooppodcast.com, or our social media handle is the same at blooppodcast on all the socials, because we are on all the things.
And we'll see you next time, guys. Until then, happy reading and God bless.